Welcome back to The Player's Perspective, a podcast hosted by Miller Kopp and powered by Hoosiers Connect. As the official NIL collective of IU Athletics, Hoosiers Connect provides exclusive access to IU student athletes, offering fans an inside look at their lives both in and out of competition. Tune in weekly to hear stories and perspectives from the incredible athletes that make Hoosier Nation proud.
Okay, this week's guest is crazy to think about because she is an ironclad IU legend at this point.
In the record books.
The all-time women's basketball scoring leader.
Yeah. And we talked about how she will now be on the practice squad.
She's looking forward to it.
She's looking forward to it. She's coming back from injury, but Mackenzie Holmes will be on the practice squad eventually for this IU women's basketball team.
Which I think is awesome because I feel like every, Indiana basketball nut knows about the women's basketball practice squad because they're always at games, always screaming, stuff like that.
Yep.
So to add back on top of that,
I mean, come on.
I just want to be a fly in the wall on some of those practices. I
feel bad for the freshmen because they are going to be in for a rude awakening.
Can you imagine having Holmes? Let's put that.
Let's just imagine Trace on practice squad
exactly.
coming back this year. And to preface, she's not back just to be on practice squad.
Yeah.
She's coming back from injury, and will be a GA on staff.
Yeah.
And we talked about that and her transition into coaching for the time being, and all that stuff. She really has a great perspective on it.
Oh, 100%. And we also went way back in her playing career at IU. So, just talking about some of these gains that she had early on in her career where, she was just mentally out of it and the struggles that come with that and everything. And as a shooter, you can understand how hard that is because when you're cold, it sucks.
Oh, no, it's not easy. And she, we really got into her journey as a player and as a leader, and because most people will see the record books and see her number one in scoring, but they don't see the rough games that she had or the work ethic behind it. So that was really cool to hear because I think people need to hear that stuff more. And we even talked about her having to her freshman and sophomore year get fans after the game at home games and talk to them for 15, 20 minutes just to try to get them to come back. To then her last year here was bonkers and they were sold out. So just that transition and that journey was really, really cool to hear about.
I'm calling out the men's basketball team for a second here because the men's basketball team needs to do that too.
Well, I don't know about that. But she did mention how she had a little respect for or not just a little, but some respect for the men's team because we did get into the Twitter life and the Twitter energy that can be rampant throughout the season. So it was a really cool conversation overall, and it was one I think people will be very, very excited to hear.
It's a good one.
Mackenzie, I appreciate you coming on. It's just going to be a good combo. And like I said, we did a little preview call last night. I don't really know where this is going to go. But I do know that we're both out of school.
We are.
It's good and bad. It's there's no school work, which I'm happy about. But I'm also, you kind of miss playing for Indiana. And then you realize when you get out, you're like, dang, this is a different world than everything else that is out there. Because I was in Oklahoma City and people ask me oh, do you get recognized and stuff? And I'm like, no. No one really knows me outside of
But the second
Bloomington.
you step foot in Bloomington, everybody recognizes you.
What was that like for 4 years having that? Because I had it for 1.5.
Mm-hmm. I really only had it for a couple years myself because like as a freshman, no one really knew who I was.
Okay.
Then it was COVID, everything was shut down. I just saw nobody all year, and then junior year is when people started to. I mean, whenever I'm in Walmart, like someone always is like basketball, tall person. Like if I'm with Ariel, who's 6'5", like whenever we're in public together, like we just stick out. So it's one of those things, but now they actually recognize. They're like, "Hey, Mac," and I'm like, "Hey." Sometimes it's like they have a look on their face that's like, I don't know this person, but I just said hi to them because I recognize them.
Yes.
They're like, "Hey, Mac," and they're like, "Wait a second." I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?"
Yeah.
But yeah.
The funniest thing is when you see somebody and you make eye contact and they don't want to say anything, but like what they're thinking.
Yes.
And you're like,
but you also don't
"What's
want to
up?"
assume that
Yeah.
they recognize you. I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe they just think of somebody else, but
Yeah.
then they have a look on their face, or you catch them staring for
The stare
a
is
decent
like,
amount of time.
and then you're like, "Oh, what's up? Hey." And they're like, "Hey, what's up?" And it's all awesome. It's all
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
The funny thing for me is when they call me, I honestly get like the more people outside of like basketball in Bloomington especially is like Primal. They just say, "Hey, Primal, what's
I
up,
love
Primal?"
that. I love that though.
And I remember when I was like doing all those videos during the season, I'd have people shout out of the car. I'd be walking down the street and like, "Liver King, what's up?" But
How did that start?
I just made videos.
But did you like the Liver King guy?
I thought they were funny.
Okay.
And I
like him like having his meal?
his like
set
meal,
up?
and I was like, this guy's obviously roided up.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Trace, we got to do a video. Like, we're just gonna have like our meal, post game meal." I was like, "We have to do it only if we win, though. Like, We
Right.
can't do it if we lose."
Yeah, obviously.
Because if when you lose around here, it's
Yeah.
it's different. You kind of gotta. It's like you're not allowed to have fun.
No. Exactly.
When you lose, which kind of
Yeah.
sucks, but kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just started doing the videos, and they just like blew up, and they were hilarious in my opinion. And from there, I just was like, I don't know, I kind of want to just like make a T-shirt. And then I made a T-shirt and a hoodie, and then spent like $3,000 of my last $4,000 in my bank account on the clothes. And I didn't even know like what I was doing, but I called my buddy in Houston. He was like, "Yeah, I could do that for you." He said, "How many shirts?" I said, "I don't know. What do you think is good?" "Probably 100. "How many hoodies?" "Probably 75. And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds great." Then he sent me the bill, and I'm like, "Oh my God. I hope these people buy
Hopefully
this."
they sell, yeah.
And eventually they did to an extent, but yeah, it was cool. But that just shows like the support when you kind of put yourself out there and you do some cool things and you show like, I don't know, how much you care. This school will give back to you a lot. I'm curious what your like transition was from freshman to, all-time leading scorer, which is honest, which is cool. I was here for 2 years and I like made some threes, but that was about it. Like,
Well, I didn't do that, so at least you have that on me.
but like, what was that like journey and transition like?
Yeah, I never would have expected, if you were to tell me when I was a freshman, that one day I'd become, and even close to the all-time leading scorer, but to become it is just, it's surreal. I don't think it's still really hit me yet, just because I'm still kind of fresh being out of the program. But, I think it's just like a testament to like our coaching staff and the work that they put in with us, the confidence that they instill in us throughout my 4 years. Because my freshman year, like I was honestly a head case. Like one missed layup and I was done for. Even my sophomore year, my assistant coach, position coach Rhett, joke around about this, but we played at Illinois on the road. At Illinois it's just daunting.
Yeah.
And they get no fans. Like it was COVID, so there were no fans.
And it's that big like bowl.
Dark. It's like there's like a storm cloud over it. And I had probably the worst game of my career. I went 1 for 16 from the field. 1 for 16 from the field.
Wow.
I would keep missing. They took me out. They're like, Mac, like, come on, you got it. Go back in, miss. Come out. All right, Mac, go back in there. You're good. Go back in. But I mean, they kept giving me a chance. And like, if that didn't say that they had confidence in me, and I think at that point, I kind of realized that, like, okay, like at some point I got to start having confidence in myself. Like, it doesn't matter how much the coaches have confidence in me. If I don't believe in myself, then I'm going to go 1 for 16 on the road at Illinois. And
hey, shout out to you for just shooting that many times.
Yeah, when I looked at
it sneaks up
you're
on you
so
though, right?
You're so right. And it's all layups. So it's like I missed 15 layups. But I mean, yeah, that was a humbling game. Every time I go back there, Coach Rhett and I, the next time I played there, I think it was 2 years ago, so I was a senior, and like we didn't talk about it. Like Coach Rhett and I did not say a word about it, but we both like knew what we were thinking. And then I ended up having a really good game, played great, and then afterwards he's like, "Okay, you broke the curse. We're good." It was just you. It was not Illinois.
Yeah, it wasn't the school or the external factors.
Yeah.
I got a funny story about Illinois too. My freshman year,
This is at Northwestern.
This is when I was at Northwestern. Yeah. But we bleep out any time we say Northwestern on this podcast. Well, maybe. But no, so you room with, how you have a roommate on the road. Mm-hmm. And so I had a senior roommate, Jordan Nash, great guy, loved him. Mm-hmm. But he always went for this game, for whatever reason, it was like a, later game. So he wanted to get like a pregame lift in. And so he packed up and, left the room like mid-afternoon, put his stuff on the bus so he could lift and then just go to the game on the bus. And so I was taking a pregame, nap after our pregame meal. And this is the only time I've ever had a scare about like missing the bus to a game. But I'm laying there, and usually he would wake me up and be like, "Hey, get your ass up, we gotta go."
Right.
And I remember like laying there, and you just hear like a, and it was my phone, and I pick up the phone, and it's one of our GAs, and he goes, "You coming?" And I tell you, my heart like was beating out of my chest. And I go, "Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm on the toilet right now, bad diarrhea."
Wow.
And I kid you not, I put my shoes on, no socks, shorts, and mind you, this is like the dead of winter in Champaign, Illinois, and it's like 5 degrees outside. I come on with shorts and a tank top on.
No uniform.
No uniform. Well, because they had them for us.
Oh, okay.
They did it. They put it in our lockers of the game. And I come out, it's like 5 degrees, shorts, no socks, but shoes on, tank top. I leave everything in the room, like my computer, my books, like everything. And I'm like, screw it. Like, I don't care. I'll figure out how to get it again. Like, I'm not being late to this game. And I walk on the bus, and I'm head down, like, don't look side to side at all. And I walk to the bus, and I sit down. And I don't even remember if I was actually late or not, maybe like 1 or 2 minutes. But I ended up having like a bad game for sure, because I never calmed down.
Yeah,
like my heart rate was up for like 2.5 hours before the game to after the game. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is like ridiculous. I can't believe that just happened. And so Illinois has got some interesting
I'm telling
stories.
You, something about it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan, and I feel like their basketballs are always they're not pumped up enough.
Yeah.
Maybe they gave them.
I always give Illinois as the answer for my least favorite place to play in the Big Ten. Everyone's like, it's so random. I'm like, you don't understand what I've been through there. Yeah.
It's because the 1 for 16.
And we always end up playing poorly there. Like my first few years, like we've had some games that they had us on the ropes, and they definitely shouldn't have had us on the ropes. But it was just the energy's always just really low. They have a great sound system though.
Right. Good music.
Yeah, good music. Good music.
They always have a DJ there. I feel like he does a pretty good job. But the 1 for 16 game. That's impressive.
Thank you.
Seriously, I want to give you props because getting up 16, and you said what was this, freshman, sophomore year?
Sophomore year,
yeah. And
they told me to keep shooting.
Well, yeah,
so.
you're supposed to. You're supposed to. If you don't, then how are you going to score?
Right.
No, that's pretty funny. What else, like, throughout the journey, you talked about, like, the coaches believing in you. There's something about, like, having somebody believe in you before you believe in yourself that gives you kind of a nudge, a push to eventually become your own confident person on the floor and even off the floor. Like, what I guess, what's that like, and how have you seen that kind of transpire in your life, but also on the court?
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying, at this level, it's great to have people believe in you, but you're not going to thrive if you don't believe in yourself and don't have confidence. So I think that probably came, I would say, later on in my sophomore year, when, I just started to have stringing together good games, starting to just gain confidence in myself. My teammates were trusting me. They were looking to throw the ball inside more often. So, but I think, like you said, off the court too, if you're not confident off the court, how can you expect to be confident off the court? So, like, I think between my freshman and sophomore year, I lost around 40 pounds.
Really?
Yeah. When I was trying to lose weight, but I really tried to just fix my nutrition, get in better shape, get quicker. And, we had so much time in COVID summer. So, like, from March to whenever we came back that next June. And I just really committed myself every day, doing conditioning, eating right, doing as much basketball as I could, but honestly just getting my body right. And I think that made a huge difference for me from a confidence perspective.
That's amazing. And you could see the transition and the work you put in just physically, and then it manifested on the court. Like, everything was easier probably.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it's funny. You took COVID and just attacked it and made yourself better for it. I know a lot of guys who during COVID were video games, didn't even look at
it was
a weight
hard, yeah.
or a basketball, or even try to work out. I was lucky in Houston to be able to, we had a weight room kind of in our garage. And so me and my brothers would be out there just lifting.
All day, yeah.
It was what
There's
else are we
nothing
gonna do?
else to do, yeah.
What was, playing with no fans, with COVID, to then, I guess I'm just curious about the growth in support.
Yeah.
For y'all, because when they was announced that we're doing this podcast, I had a bunch of people comment, and I told you, when are you gonna do women's players? Are you gonna do the women's team or the coaches? And I said, well, duh.
Right.
Was that I don't know if that was the case when you were here or not, because obviously I wasn't.
Right.
But what's that growth been like to see that, but also be a part of it, pushing it forward?
Yeah, I think it's what's really crazy is the fact that this is when I was a junior in high school being recruited here, Coach Moren had a plan, and this was all part of her plan. So something that we did my freshman year that we're no longer able to do, one, because of COVID, two, because we just have too many people at our games now. But we used to take 20 minutes after every game my freshman year. Fans could come on the court, talk to us. We could sign autographs, take pictures, and we were needed on the court for the full 20 minutes. So every single one of us stayed for the full 20 minutes, took pictures, introduced ourselves, met people, and invited them to come back. Say next time, bring a friend. So I think that that's something that she really prided herself on, was wanting to give back to the fans and show them that we really appreciate them and get to know them, build that relationship with them, so they want to come back and they want to bring more people. And then we did that my whole freshman year, and it honestly was something we looked forward to, because I could have a terrible game, barely play as a freshman, and then some little girl is like, great job, and I'm like, they have just no idea. They have no idea.
Oh, you sure?
I'm like, oh,
you
thank
sure?
you.
Don't lie to me.
But yeah, so just stuff like that makes you realize how much bigger it is in basketball. And then COVID obviously didn't have fans.
Yeah.
And then my junior year, it was still kind of a little bit of restrictions. So we would have tables upstairs, and we would have autograph lines, but it would only be 2 of us per game. And then we got so many fans my senior year that we couldn't do it anymore.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was crazy. And then now we do reserve seating, which was never a thing either. All of our tickets used to be general admission, which doors would open 90 minutes before, and people would just come sprinting down the stairs. Like I was warming up once, and one woman ate it down the stairs, and I was like, oh my gosh, like people really want to get to their specific seat, and they do. They were fighting for those seats, and they would come in, put like a jacket or shirt down to reserve
good.
seats, but. Yeah.
Seeing that has to fire you up and just make you like, I know for me too, is you just see the support and like, it's crazy to think that people are coming to a stadium to watch you play basketball.
Yeah.
When you really think about it, that's all it is.
Yeah.
And then it's impossible not to be grateful for that aspect of just the game and Indiana as a whole, because COVID too was just showed that how much the game like needs fans and how much it creates the environment of like entertainment and all that stuff. But you talked about Coach Moren. What was
the best.
her like?
She's the GOAT.
Yeah, why do you say that? Because I don't know much about her at all.
Yeah.
And hopefully she'll be on. But what's she like to somebody like me who doesn't know her?
I mean, she's a total badass, in my opinion. One of the most competitive people I know, if not the most competitive person I know. She doesn't take a day off, but she really just cares about, the people on her team, the people on her staff, and that shows. We have weights in the summer, 7:30, 7 a.m. every single morning. She's there with us. And, I don't think many head coaches are at their team's, weights when they don't have to be there. It's their time to lift and run, and she's just there in support because she expects, if she's not going to be there for us now, then how are we going to believe that we're like a whole team come January? We're in the middle of Big Ten season. So she's just incredible. She's funny. We share a lot of common interests. She's a big fan of The Office, and I am also a big fan of The Office.
I love The Office.
It's her favorite show. She has little office toys on her desk and has the world's best boss mug on
The
her
mug?
desk. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so we just talk about that. She'll find a funny clip on Instagram and she'll send it to me. She's just very down to earth, wholesome, just real, honestly, and I think that's what I appreciate most about her.
What makes you say she's badass? Because there has to be some things that come to mind that give someone that title.
I think just the ability to go from being sweet, nice, and flip a switch and she's on your ass in practice. She's not the type. She doesn't yell just to yell. So when she yells, you're like, oh shit,
I better lock in.
Yeah, you better lock in. And she means it. And she would do anything for us. She'll go to bat for us during games. She feels like the refs aren't making the right call. She'll let them know. I think it's just, again, she is a type of person that hates to lose more than she loves to win. And she'll say that. And she'll say, and I really love to win. She'll say, I hate to lose more than I love to win, and I really, really love to win. So I think it's just that, and she's a Hoosier. She grew up a Hoosier. She's from Seymour. It's in her blood. So I think that she has a different level of pride when she steps out and coaches us every single day.
Have you ever, because you're obviously, we got a mosquito there.
Oh, it's on your mic.
It's gone now, but we keep rolling. Good thing I'm a professional. Have y'all ever butt heads? Because I am a player, and you're super competitive. I still see the fly. You're obviously super competitive. Mm-hmm. I know as a competitor as well. Sometimes with a competitive coach and a competitive player, whether it's just practice or maybe sometimes, usually not in a game, I've butt heads with a coach or, but not in an unhealthy way.
Yeah.
There's constructive ways to let out your emotions, or, there's a certain play that might have happened that in the moment, you know you're right, or you may think you're right. Have you had any moments with that?
Well,
I'm not like prying.
No. There are times when I think she calls, because she has like hand signals that she does. So like we have like, I'm not gonna give them.
Yeah, don't say
Almost
that.
got me there.
Now
Everyone,
we'll blur all those.
everyone knows, but everyone literally, it's so funny because we have a play called floppy, and like everyone and their moms know floppy.
Yeah.
Like it's just, we've had it in our playbook, but like, so everyone, this is the hand signal. So second she does this, the other team's like, they're running floppy. So sometimes she'll like try to hide it. She'll be like, floppy. I'm like, coach, everyone knows floppy, and we have twirl, and everyone knows twirl. But I think it's like when we have like a miscommunication. So she was like, what were you running? And I was like, I was running this. And she's like, you were supposed to run that. I'm like, got it. That's on me. But I think just simple things like that. But something I appreciate about Coach is like she delegates very well. So like she gives a lot of leeway to our assistant. So like she's not the only one making play calls or making adjustments in games. Like she really lets the assistants and the players, if like there's something that I see out on the floor and we're in a timeout, like it's not, she wants to hear from us too. And I think that's really cool because I'll say like, hey, this is how they're playing. Like, let's try that. Let's try running this. And you know, she'll listen to us honestly a lot of the time, which I think is pretty cool.
That gives you a lot of confidence
Yeah.
to play because you know you're heard. Right. She may not, the coach may not do everything you suggest, but just the fact that you know that you're being listened to is huge. And so on the coaching side of things, you recently have graduated and are, what for like the listeners, what's like your current role, situation, kind of the next potential step? Yeah,
so I am now a graduate assistant, so going to be working towards my master's and just helping out in any way I can. I also recently got knee surgery back in May, so rehabbing for that as well. So hopefully after this year, rehab goes smoothly and I'll continue my playing career.
Awesome. I know you're going to work your tail off and have to get back, so that'll be fun. But as a GA, what do you hope to, be able to contribute? Because you're so fresh. I know when I was, been back for the summer, it's been kind of weird, but also cool because you see the players in such a different light. You're here to give and help and provide information and wisdom. What do you see that role kind of being like for you?
Yeah, I think it's really because you said I'm so fresh off the team, kind of trying to like bridge the gap between like the coaching staff and the players, like being that person that still has a pulse for the team because I know all of them very well, but also still understands what's going on with our coaching staff and being able to see how things are going and if I need to give advice to someone on the team because I see what's the coaches are seeing or vice versa. If I feel like the players are doing a certain thing or feeling a certain way, I can, and like I said, coach has that trust in me to be able to recognize those things. So hopefully that, just being able to, I know what Coach Moren is looking for and offensively and defensively. I sometimes know, what she's going to say before she says it because I see those things. So just trying to, coach the girls up, knowing that, seeing certain things. So I feel like we have a couple new people on staff, so just being able to help them integrate and a couple new girls in the team, so helping them as well.
You're going to be great. You're going to be really, really good at that, and they're going to be, I know that the players are going to really be appreciative and benefit from you being there, especially even the coaches, because now they've got an extra avenue of communication and trust, because it's all about trust.
Right.
If you don't trust a coach or you don't trust your teammate, things are going to be rough.
Right.
Because I remember I we had there's coaching changes all the time. I don't know how many you have had in terms of assistants or strength coaches, but there's always that period of building trust. But if somebody on staff knows exactly what the head coach wants, and you're relaying that and you understand it really, really well, where you can break it down, that stuff is super important because it's like a nuance that no one really realizes, but it makes communication a lot better. But
I think something that is beneficial to our staff and kind of unique to our staff is right now we have 3 people on staff that are former players. So we just brought in Kiana Warthen, which I don't know if you ever were playing when she was here or not. You might have just missed each other.
So, yeah.
We played, so her and I played together for 2 years, and obviously Allie Patberg is also on staff, played with her for 3 years. So they're not fresh off the team, but they're just a few years removed, and so they're 2 other people who know exactly what Coach Moren's looking for. And I had talked to Key about it, and we were just talking about how cool it is that, you know, us 3, we were on the Elite 8 team together, so we know what it takes, but like it also just means more to us. So to be able to be on the staff together and work alongside each other, I think not only is it cool, but it just means more to us because we just have this different level of pride because we were once on the team and we just want to win so badly.
What's a part of being a GA that thus far that is like super new or different that you weren't really expecting or something you had to learn or do?
So it's still fairly new, and like I said, I just got surgery, so there's a few things. So like typical GAs would be like out on the floor playing defense, jumping into practice, which I can't wait to be able to do that. I can't wait to be on practice squad or scout team, whatever that looks like.
Heck
that.
of a practice squad
Yeah.
player.
I can't wait for that. But I think honestly, the recruiting stuff, maybe like the coaches go on the road and just being on call if they need to add players into the system, take players out, stuff that I haven't dealt with before, some different servers that I haven't been on. So I think that would be the
servers. What do you mean?
It's like called Fast Recruit. It's just something that you enter the recruit's information in, or finding the recruit schedules. I'm like stalking 15-year-olds on Twitter trying to find what AAU tournaments they're going to. So that's been new. But yeah, it's honestly been cool. It's been a pretty smooth transition. But like I said, it's just because I feel like I know everybody so well, and they've been very accepting and embracing of me. So
well, yeah, you're a fast learner. You don't go 1 for 16 at Illinois and then work your way up to all-time leading scorer without being able to learn and figure it out.
That is true.
I was never quite 1 for 16 good, but I was 0 for 12 good. I didn't even get a bucket. Is that
much worse than 1 for 16? Is it better than 1 for 16?
No, I think it's worse in the way that 1 for 16 is better because you kept shooting. I might have stopped. Threes? I don't remember. There were like 8 or 9 threes.
Yeah.
It was bad.
I love that.
It was against Maryland at home, and I remember.
At home?
Yeah, it was tough.
I'll be damned if I go 1 for 16 at home.
Well, at home here is different than at home at Northwestern. Okay. So that was a good moment for me. And then I remember coming back and,
you just want to go like right back into the gym.
Oh yeah. You're like, you want to play the next day.
Right then and there and you bus home. So it's like this bus ride, the bus smells like food, smells like pizza. I'm car sick. Like just this, and then we get back and our GA at the time was like, don't go back in the gym. Just go home. Like, just scrap it. Sometimes you just got to scrap things like that. And we had an off day the next day. And I listened. I didn't go. I really wanted to just, like, take a million layups that night. But then I waited next morning, and I don't know how many layups that I made that day. But it was for, like, a solid hour. I was just shooting layups.
Oh, my gosh. Is that something you've grown with? Because the idea of, like, working too hard to holding on too tight, that there's a kind of a beauty in like letting go a little bit, and that sometimes you can work yourself too hard to where you're uptight and you're like, I gotta make this shot, or I gotta make this layup, I gotta make this 3. Like how has that changed for you? And this is just like as basketball players, I'm curious, because for me it took way too long. But I'm like, what was that like, and where are you at now with that?
Yeah, I feel like we're similar in that sense, where like you want to go until it's perfect, or else you can't leave, or you're going to be thinking about it for the rest of the day. I don't know if I've mastered it. Some days I'm good and I'm like, you know what, that's okay. Today just wasn't. And some days I will have a bad practice, and like, I guess it's just balancing. So like after a bad practice, instead of making like 200 layups, I'll make 50 or something. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
just like finding that balance and knowing what I need for my own sanity versus like when it's just too much. So I think that's really, I don't know how you've adjusted, but that's kind of how I've adjusted, especially being someone who's dealt with injuries, and I've had, you know, a bad knee for the past few years. I've had to learn to take a step back.
Well, we were talking, it was like a month ago, and people don't realize, I didn't know this, you're playing with like a screwed up knee for how long? See, that's the part of basketball, and this is one of my questions, because I have a lot of answers to this, is like, people don't realize how much they just see the game.
Yeah.
And they just see the product, but they don't see the 22 hours of the day that you're thinking about the bad game, or thinking about the good game, or thinking about the layup that you missed, or the extra time you're in the gym where you're like kicking yourself because you want to just get it right and get it perfect. What misconceptions do you think people have about being a college athlete and a pro athlete?
It's a great question. I mean, like you said, they don't see the 22 hours of the day. They have no idea what's going on in your life. They just see the product that you put out on the floor, and they assume that you're going to be able to put aside whatever you have going on outside of the game while you're in between the lines. And I think that's fair. You know, if you're a professional, you should be able to handle that. But also, stuff happens. You have bad nights of sleep. You don't feel good. You're sick. All those things that contribute to a loss or not playing well. And like you said, it's losing around here is hard with our fans. So I think it's just, I feel like people think it's, you know, it should be easier than it actually is. And especially at this level in the Big Ten, it's really hard to win games. And the margin of error is really small. So like, it's really easy to say like, well, we have this player, and we've made this adjustment, so why aren't you guys winning? But it's a lot harder to put together wins than you would think.
Then yes, even when you make it to an Elite Eight, it still doesn't take away the fact that how hard it is.
Right.
And I don't know what it's like to be, you know, in an Elite Eight, but I'd assume that it was very difficult, even when it might have looked easy.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. Like when we had growing pains before that, like we were the 1 seed going to the Big Ten tournament that year. We got knocked out first round, and so you know when we ended up coming back and getting to an Elite Eight come tournament time. We were lucky enough to be in that large bid. We're a 4 seed, I think, and ended up making it there. So I think it's just like people count you out very quickly, and I think it's, you know, really important that athletes try not. I don't even know how you guys deal with it. We talk. That's like our point of emphasis in our locker room. We're like, how does the men's team deal with this? Because we get it, but it's not nearly as intense as what you guys receive.
Well, you like the negativity and stuff? Yeah.
Like I look on Twitter, I'm like, I hope that they aren't looking at this. But I don't know if you read any of that stuff when you were a player here throughout the season.
You know what's funny is I went through phases of yes and no. Mm-hmm. It was like if I had a couple good games, I'd be like, I might download Twitter tonight and see what they're saying. But then I'm like, I'm just gonna keep it deleted. Right. And yeah, I guess I don't know. It's just you kind of get used to it, but you never really get used to it. Yeah. You kind of I think you just tell yourself that you're used to it or that it doesn't matter. But like deep down, sometimes it does because like you're just human. And but
and you're harder on yourself than any of the people on Twitter could be to you. And so when you see you're thinking these negative things and you see that on Twitter, you start to believe them, which I think is really sad because there's some harsh things said out there.
Oh yeah, and the biggest thing for me is, and you talked about it, is like you just want to get it right. Mm-hmm. And you want to get back in the gym and work harder and do more. That's the stuff that people don't see, that like it eats at you. It can eat at you all day.
Yeah.
Like that negativity can like ruminate, and it comes from a good place, I think. But like at the end of the day, like once you find that balance of like caring, not caring, I don't know. That's just kind of, there's a lot that goes into it. We could go on forever about that. All right, last one. 54. You have a necklace. 54. What's the meaning behind that?
So in high school, I was number 5. My whole life, that's what my brother was, so I would just chose number 5. When I got to college, another incoming freshman wanted to be number 5 too, and I was like, you know what, that's fine. My dad's number had always been 54. My dad and I are super close. If you've ever been to a home game, you've probably heard him yell at a few refs. Don't know how he made it 5 years without getting kicked out of it. He's come really close. One time we were at some Thanksgiving tournament, and it's like in a small area, and he is just screaming. And the ref goes over to security guard. My dad gets up and leaves. And then waits about 5 minutes and then comes back. And then because they couldn't find the guy that was screaming at the refs. But anyways.
He's peeking behind a corner like.
Yeah. He's my biggest fan. And, I'm super close with him. So he was 54. And so my dad was like, hey, you should be 54. I'm like, Dad, I am not picking that number. Like, I'm going to pick something else. I don't even know what I told him I picked, but I secretly told them I wanted to be 54. And then when numbers were released, he saw it, and it was like a surprise for him. And so he was super excited.
That's so awesome.
And then I played my freshman year in 54. And then the girl who was number 5 transferred. So my assistant coach was like, do you want to switch back to 5? And I was like, I think I like the uniqueness of 54.
Yeah.
So I stayed in it and kept it. It is I get told a football number all the time, ugly number, just a slow number. All those things may be true. They may be true, but I really liked how unique it was, and it's something that I just stayed in. So I feel like it suited me by the end of the 5 years.
I love it. It's a record holding number is what it is. So
and it's a number I never have to worry about being taken. So in my professional career, no one is ever gonna want 54. So
you're fighting over 54. Well, Mackenzie, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. So at the end of every podcast, we just do a handshake and then we tap mics. That's it. There we go. That was awesome. That was awesome. Mackenzie did a freaking phenomenal job.
We hope you loved this episode of Players Perspective. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Stay connected with Hoosiers Connect on social media for even more exciting content featuring IU student athletes. Until next time, Hoosier Nation.